episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
Andrew.
Kaila.
Charlie.
And I'm Josh. Great to see everybody here today.
Great day.
Today we are going to be going over a book that I have been waiting to go over for 6 seasons. It is my all-time favorite novel. We've gone over... Charlie, he changes his favorite work all the time.
I can't help it. I love to read stuff.
We've gone over people on Ari's favorite novel.
Yes.
We've gone over Kelsey's favorite novel. We've gone over Larry's, some of his favorites.
But Josh, what about Josh? What are we going to do about Josh, our leader?
This is the first. And we went over. I think Andrew frequently mentions Leads of Grass. We've got that. Now we're going over Josh's favorite.
Drummer's clap.
And that is Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. I got this particular copy as a Christmas gift from my mother, and I was inspired to read this when I was taking environmental science during my senior year, and there was an anatomy class going on. Some of my friends were taking that, and because the teacher was a bit more English leaning, sometimes they would teach anything,
Which is good.
she one of their assignments was to do a PowerPoint presentation on Flowers for Algernon, so I thought it was a perfect time to read it on my own, even though I had no academic reason to do so. I just wanted to do it, and it was an amazing experience. So for the discussion starter, I have this. At the beginning of this novel, Charlie Gordon has PKU and an IQ of 68 that gets treated by doctors, making him intelligent. Many of us can agree that a sense of sympathy can be held for Charlie. But was there any part in this novel where you felt that you could relate to him?
Yes. And not just because my name is Charlie. No, that's
I
not.
expected that to be.
No, but I'm not. There have been times I have struggled. I mean, we all struggle, but there have been times I was down and out. Intelligent-wise, maybe not so much, but just stroke. You know, there's a saying: things come in threes, bad things come in threes. I think that's bull. Excuse my French. I think things come in 5s, 7s, 10s, 11s. But But I was able to overcome each obstacle. Weight loss was one of them. No one complimented me yet. That's okay. I'm just kidding. No, but really, I feel
I can definitely agree with that, and I think
other
that
things, college alone,
Mhm.
that's a thing right there. That's a big thing.
I think that with people with Asperger's like ourselves, that we have areas that interest us and we highly excel at. And I think that Charlie was very relatable in that sense, with the fact that he was either isolated or put down for his background or ridiculed by those around him, or they treated him with a sense of mock kindness or took advantage of him. He pretty much, he had that neurological condition, only you take away the areas of interest that he did not have that capability to remember things in areas that interested him. Only when he had the procedure was he able to excel.
Yeah, it was night and day. It was literally night and day.
But it was so various. He had so many interests to the point that people such as Dr. Niemer and Strauss, or no, Professor.
I think it was Professor Niemer and
Professor Niemer and Dr.
Yeah,
because Niemer seemed to be much more uptight than Strauss, but they only had certain areas that interested them, and Charlie thought that when you're a genius, you know everything. The fact that he took that spike so quickly, it it made other things challenging.
I think I related to Charlie only because not in such a severe manner, but like, you know, in a couple of years you always like learn things just because you're always learning, but like you always find out, like, you know, it's like, oh, I was taken advantage of. It just like you kept you understood, you kind of felt. It's like and then you can only like lend yourself to think. It's like, I wonder how extreme that must feel for like living your life, and then like noticing how much of your life people are taking advantage of you, or just you know, using you, you know.
And I've had that happen to me as well until I was able to say, wait a minute, stop.
And I don't, and I think I can't think of a moment where I felt that Charlie's misunderstanding of other people was could not be justified, because I felt that anything. There were times where people had issue with him, which I think all of us go through that. But you have to. I think it was true that the reason that people were becoming intimidated by Charlie was a sense of their own insecurities, and I feel that Alice was nice to him, but she was thinking about herself as well and her own issues and sanity. The people at Donner's Bakery, I think, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of them are a bunch of jerks, especially with Gimpy's an interesting one though, because Gimpy has a clubbed foot, which
gets his name.
The fact that it's interesting to think that someone that has a physical disability is able to garner sympathy much easier than someone with a mental disability.
Because you can see it, it's right there.
You can see it, and the person thinks and talks the same way as a normal person.
For lack of, obviously,
When you're talking about people with neurodivergence, a normal person's a neurotypical.
Yeah, and actually what I wanted to say is, all throughout time, throughout, history, oh, you're in a wheelchair, blah, and most of the time, and when I was younger, I made a mistake because I didn't really know that, but I know better. I went up, there was a gentleman, real quick, I'm going to tell you why. I was maybe 4 or 5, and I went, you're fat, and next thing I know, oh, God, I learned my lesson that way. Mom gave me a cookie afterward, and of course I apologized to the man. I said, I'm sorry for it. It's okay, from what I remember, of course. You don't judge people. That's basically what I want to say. Don't judge people.
Don't judge people unless you feel, don't
Unless
judge
you're
them
God.
right away.
Yeah. They say
There's a difference between judging judging your thoughts on a particular book or a performance.
So it's like, or driving. Sorry.
But to say that somebody that's walking funny must be an alcoholic is that's a bad kind of judgment.
Yeah, that person could have a neurological disorder which affects their coordination skills. And basically what I got out of that is after Mom, basically, Italian, I got the Italian spoon punishment when I got, but still, I learned from that. And of course, she said, I didn't mean to hit you like that, especially that hard, but that's not like you. And I said, Mommy, I was 5 maybe. And I learned, and of course through love as well, you don't judge people. You don't make fun of people. Ha ha, he's in a wheelchair. You don't do that. I mean, that's happened throughout history. All right? And there are, of course, and that's something you can see. And then there's people like us, myself included, why, geez, he's different. And this would happen. I've noticed this over the years. Geez, you're different. But because I wasn't into a lot of their stuff. I was more into music and drumming. And I love drums. You see these in every episode. So basically, don't judge people for who they are. Unless you're a divine being.
That I agree with. Kaila?
I think it's you know, as terrible as it is, I think it's kind of like human nature to judge, and
It
I think
is.
a lot of that comes back to, you know, our own insecurities, and we're afraid of being judged ourselves, so we judge others
Yes,
before they can
very
judge us,
true.
kind of thing, you know.
And I catch
Um,
myself doing that every now and then.
That doesn't make it right,
Yeah,
you know.
yes,
I just think
you're
that
correct.
It's a great human
Yeah.
flaw,
exactly.
especially in today. I see a lot of it today.
Mhm.
But how do you, where do you see it? How would you apply that to the book?
I think that a lot of what happens to Charlie is because of that. You know, people are quick to assume, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh, he doesn't know anything. You know, but
I think maybe you can say he's a little delayed
mhm.
in you know processing.
Yeah.
You know, things like that's autism. It's a neurological disorder.
He didn't
and
have-
stuff like that.
He didn't have autism.
Well, yeah, but
he had PKU.
And then as he
AKA
gets more intelligent,
yeah.
it's
Mhm.
more like, oh, he's smarter than me. You know, he's cocky. He's
and he knows more.
Right.
It's like, how do you
Right.
get this smart?
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
The doctors or the scientists, they were at odds. They think,
But it
what the
didn't.
heck?
It only did so much.
Right.
And then
right.
it.
We
And then it. Yeah,
Regressed.
regressed. It
Right.
was,
yeah, and he was heartbroken. I mean, yeah.
And he was like really treated as a person.
Yeah, that was
And,
one of
the one moment that he did, it was under horrible circumstances where he was getting like electroshock therapy.
Yeah.
the.
There's like, and he had
From Guarana,
Right,
when he
yeah.
was really young. Oh.
yeah, and that might have been one of like the first times in his life that
Mhm.
like you know somebody was respectful to him and treated him as a person. And,
But it also seemed a bit sugar-coated too.
I love sugar.
But I mean, not to
Oh.
Charlie. It,
No,
it was
it was-
legit
it
to
was-
him, and he, you know, it was something he needed.
He treated
To be-
he treated him like he would treat any
Right.
4-year-old or.
But he saw it as you know as being treated as equal.
Yeah,
as,
I think
you know
he-
somebody he treats as all the other people. You know,
It
he
worked
felt-
for him at that
good,
time, and he
yeah.
made mention to that.
Yeah.
He was able to sort out through that well.
Right.
But if we're talking in that radius, his family was an interesting.
The mother in
I
particular.
despised the mother.
Because
The mother.
this was like you know a bit in the past, but she
Mm.
was also cut from like a really older cloth, where she kind of felt deserved into having you know.
As far as I'm concerned, though, the mother was a piece of garbage.
No, yeah,
wow, that
because-
says a lot.
I
don't
don't hold
disagree.
anything.
Yeah.
I don't hold anything against the daughter because she was only young.
yeah,
But
she redeemed
when-
herself too.
when you tell your daughter that your brother was a mistake and he's not your real
Yeah, it's
brother,
horrible.
there's
Yeah.
something wrong with you.
There is.
I'm
And I-
sorry. There is
yeah.
something wrong with telling your siblings that
or anyone for that. matter.
that this isn't really your brother is.
It's called
Yeah.
brainwashing.
You don't. The father was very. He was a little bit
He was
meek
kind
and
of-
what.
Yeah, that's
In a
good
way,
word.
he was
Yeah.
meek to the. He was assertive when he denied her of the dog, but
Mhm.
he was meek toward Rose. Mac, that is the father.
Yeah.
Right, right.
But
Yeah.
what hitting your son because he wets himself?
You don't do that.
Yeah.
What? Honestly, it's child abuse, and that's common sense. You know.
Corporal punishment was seen much differently then.
Oh
But
yeah.
it was a very different
And-
time, you know.
I
And
understand.
granted, also people that unfortunately people with those kind of conditions,
They got it the most.
they were, in many cases, parents did feel a sense of embarrassment. They would send their children away to institutions.
Well, that's where he was
Or private
destined.
school.
He was sent. He
He was
was.
destined to go there until his uncle took him
Yeah,
to
his uncle took
the
him.
Donner for the bakery.
Donner helped him out,
Um,
and he lived with his uncle Herman.
But yeah, that was the route he was to go to.
A lot of also may have been sent to this. Well, no, probably not the seminary, but
There were things that he was punished for
Right.
that at that time seemed to make sense. But
at that time.
wetting yourself because you're too nervous to go to the bathroom yourself.
Right.
All they needed to do was escort him. And,
Yeah.
but those are kind of things. If he urinated on something, that would be at that time grounds for corporal punishment. But
If it's accidental.
accidentally relieve yourself in your pants.
Yeah.
Because
It's
you're too
embarrassing.
nervous.
Yeah.
Then there's a great issue. I think that's the issue.
And that's why the mother, as you said, is a piece of garbage.
And at the end, though, the only one that comes to terms when upon seeing them again is his sister.
Yeah.
Rich.
Right.
The mother becomes so sick that I think she becomes demented.
She was
dementia.
senile, but she had
Yeah.
like a quick moment where she recognized who her son was,
Mm.
but she was for the most part like dropping into senility.
Dementia, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
dementia. And the
And
father
that's-
didn't
that's-
recognize
yeah.
him at all. The father was
That-
a barber.
That kind of got me in the heart.
Mm.
Like when he went to visit his father in the Bronx, because his dad finally had his dream to have the barber shop.
And he gave him a haircut, too.
Yeah, and then
But he didn't recognize
they
that
were
it was his
teetering
son.
on, it's like, is he gonna notice him? And like the point where like you think that maybe he is gonna notice him. It's like, hey, don't pull a fast one. You owe me some money.
Right.
But the thing is, like, the dad had like the shop. He was no longer like selling, but he didn't have anyone to share it with. He didn't have any family anymore.
No, they
There's just himself sitting in his chair.
separated.
But that was kind of sad.
Mm-hmm. The whole work in itself had a sad tone. Yeah, it had a very sad tone, and that's the way Daniel Keyes wanted it.
There was one point of, I guess I would call it like comic relief at the end, because I was already starting to tear up,
Mhm.
and then Charlie accidentally goes into Alice Kennyon's class,
Oh.
and he goes, "I pulled a Charlie Gordon." I thought that was kind of cute, and then like I went back to crying.
Mhm.
Well, I'm big on comic relief. I am huge on comic relief. And I've said this in other episodes, previous episodes. It can't be every 5 seconds. Like ha ha ha, sad ha ha. You got to have that element of surprise, and you need to have that little bit of levity in there.
Yeah, that was the only, if you can call it, aha moment.
Maybe, but I think by the time he was reaching its sense of decline, it became very dark and gloomy.
That was-
I think
it was hard to take.
the last redeeming moment, I think, was when he saw his sister, because
Yeah.
right after the time he was really beginning to decline from his miracle procedure, and he was damaging his house.
Not paying rent. Yeah.
He was I think he was just loafing around. Not loafing.
Yeah, like he knew it was going to come. He started. He took a tour of the
Was it his
hospital.
apartment?
But the reason he decided to go to Warren is because he did not want to serve the burden to anyone.
Well, yeah, it was kind of his only choice.
Granted, he was back to where he was. He could have tried to get the job back at the Honors, but he didn't.
I kind of felt, and I almost think it explicitly said that he was going to be in a worse state than he started. That he probably could not function in the bakery at that point at the end.
If it was if he was turning into what Algernon did, his days would be numbered.
That's, I think, his.
And-
I think that was his.
And in
base.
that case, that could have been a reason for him to go to Warren, because it would just be him going needing that great assistance.
Yeah, because it said something about like the rate of deterioration being much faster, but it never says that the deterioration was going to stop.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I just drew my own conclusion. So
It killed Algernon. So
that's probably what helped my conclusion. Yeah.
And has anybody seen the first thing I thought when I read the back of the book was the episode of the Rugrats where Chucky's being treated for allergies,
I think.
and they treated it on a mouse named Cheddar.
Yes, and he gets like really good and then decreases really fast, right?
It's funny.
he become not only do his allergies go away, but his sense of smell, his olfactory senses they're magnificent, and then just like the mouse, but the mouse starts to degrade, and then he has that one final moment against the bully that he smelled the bully and he smelled like vegetables. At that time. But
I can't say I remember that. I know I watched Rugrats when I was younger. Angelica, oh my God, oh yeah. She made me want to throw a drumstick at the TV.
well, we may have you babysitter.
Well, she's probably now 29, looking for,
Ah.
I don't know. I mean, this was,
They're all grown up.
Yeah,
They're
they
all
are.
older.
yeah, they're older than us, I think.
Yeah, they started in 1991. But
So
otherwise, does anybody have any final thoughts?
I
that
want
they,
a cookie.
Shut up.
Anybody have anything
Sorry.
that they wanted to make mention to?
Great read.
Yeah.
And I know I say that a lot. I know it's the first thing to come out of my mouth, A, because I love reading, and B, this is really, it's a tearjerker. It's going to pull at the heart. And did I cry? No, but I did have to put the book down a couple times and say to myself, why don't I just go play my drums? And maybe hang up the Christmas lights in the pouring rain. And then I'll go back to reading it. But, yeah.
And just to be sure, like my eyes were like more wet than they usually are. I wasn't like crying. Like.
So what part got to you the most?
I started at the dad. For some reason, it struck a chord with me. It kind of bummed me out. And just, it was just so revelatory where he was and seeing his parents, and it was just different. It just seemed, I don't know, because it was a bad spot in the beginning, and it was like a new bad spot.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then there's little glimmers that he really, still cared for people, and then he was never going to be able to be with Miss Kinnian,
Mm-hmm.
or he wasn't.
Mm.
He was losing a lot. I don't know. It kind of steamrolled into
Mm-hmm.
a little
His
bit
life
of
was
depression.
falling
So
apart.
I was definitely in a depression, but I wasn't crying. Just,
That's what a good book does, though.
no, it was an excellent book. I give it a 5. Yeah.
Okay. That's good to hear. Kayla?
I'd give it like a 4.5. Yeah, it was a really good book. It was really, really touching and devastating towards the end.
Any
Sometimes
particular
you
part
need
get
that.
to you?
Just the whole ending, just watching him deteriorate is
Mhm.
gut wrenching. It's so hard.
I would say that much myself. Especially
Yeah.
for me, probably when he started damaging, when he started destroying his house to the point that he was driving. I think it was Alice. He was driving
Yeah.
in tears.
Yeah,
it
that was hard.
That really
Yeah.
got to me because
Yeah.
I don't think he meant to. Be
That's the
that way.
frustration.
It was just
He couldn't express himself any other way.
and he was mentally declining from what was was supposed to be a miracle cure for his condition.
Oh, also in the way of epigraph scout, I think that one was superb, like from Plato. Because oftentimes, like, you kind of wonder, like, where does that fit in the story? And it was kind of the story in miniature. So I thought the
Started out as a short story too, but
yeah,
it
they
was
fleshed
much
it out
more.
for. I would say maybe like not that long. I don't know. It was quick.
I'm giving it a 4 because I will admit I don't like to cry, but well written, and I'm assuming the amount of time, just the plot alone, really it's not like it spoke to me. It's not like I can relate to this. Just the plot really was well executed. The characters seemed, I guess you could say, on par with each other. But I'm giving it a 4 because I don't like to cry. But it was a great read. And if we'll go with a 4.5
I think if you come in as a voice that does not like sad works, that is a sense of
like I said, I'm huge on comic relief.
that's a point of view of the reader.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to have to go with a 4 because if there had been maybe another character who was more of a jokester, shall we say, more of a, hey, come on, Charlie, let me help you out a little bit. Oops, I fell down, someone that, be that little, someone to have that levity. You always have to have that one character, I think, especially in works that are sad, heart, and also horror movies. You need a comic relief in that.
I would, You could, depending on the horror work, depending on the direction that it's going.
Right, yeah.
But
It's got to have some kind of comic relief.
for me, oh, you go on.
Yeah, you kick your TV in, and then you wonder what happened. Whoopsies!
For me, the thing that comes to mind is the fact that we can live in a world where we have so many great inventions, great medical advancements, and a great advancement in our technology.
Yes. We can't let it rule us, but we can,
But
we have that to our advantage.
in a world without empathy, patience, and understanding, everything I mentioned means absolutely nothing.
I concur.
And that's why Flowers for Algernon is a remarkable novel, and I give it a perfect 5 stars.
There you go. And Josh, thank you for, finally bringing us your favorite work.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm really happy that I was able to pull it out and reread it. I usually don't reread things. I read this
Yeah, I'm the same way too.
7 years ago,
Yeah.
and a lot of it was able to stick. Anytime you read something again, it seems like you get something out of it, something different out of it. And Flowers for Algernon is no exception to the rule. And I think that there's great advantage to reading things more than once. I'm not able to do it too often because of my book collection, but here's my copy of Flowers for Algernon. It is something that I hold near and dear to my heart. And, I like the fact that we have a white mouse, which in this case is supposed to be Algernon on the cover. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Literary Gladiators, and be sure to join us next time. For now, keep reading.
Enjoy.